Welcome to Pack Talk Podcast, episode 116. Today we're talking about the life of a dog trainer. So the goal here is to give the listener, you, a glimpse into the life of a dog trainer. Hopefully this podcast helps out other dog trainers that listen. And maybe there's some scenarios or tasks that we discussed that dog owners might find useful or that they need to do with their dog. So with that being said, my name's Chad. I'm the founder of Canine Revolution Dog Training. We've got Chris.
What's up?
Who's the lead trainer of Canine Revolution Dog Training. We've got Erin, professional dog trainer, Canine Revolution Dog Training. Mm-hmm. Erin's a former teacher, PE teacher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Chris,
health.
what?
And health.
And health.
It's the same thing, right?
Yeah.
No.
Is it like HES?
Physical.
Is it like health, exercise, sports science?
Yeah. And then there's PE.
Yeah.
Physical education.
It's
The same thing.
Right.
To me.
And Chris is former law enforcement.
Yep.
Okay. Good to go.
Copper.
I was a veteran from the Navy. I am a veteran from the Navy. So that's what I was in my prior life. So anyway, all of us have changed our careers into the career of a dog trainer, mainly because of our passion for dogs, right? That's kind of how we got started. And I think that there's a lot of reason why people get into dog training. First of all, you got people like us where we come into dog training because it's a passion or because something happened in our lives which made us get into dog training, and then we become passionate about it. Then we want to help other people, which happened with us. I also think there's some people out there, maybe they want to be a dog trainer, however that gets started, or maybe they think that there's some kind of special perk about being a dog trainer. Then they get into the dog trainer world. I don't know. What do you guys think about people getting into dog training? What have you seen? We know Erin's big on Facebook Marketplace, so I'm sure she's seen some people get into dog training for different reasons.
I mean, yeah, I would like to believe they get into dog training because they believe they can make a difference and help. But I also feel like maybe they think it's easy. They're quickly, which I would think if they're doing it the right way, they're quickly shown that's not the case. But they may think it's easy. They could be thinking like, hey, I have a chance to maybe make a large gain from this. Easy schedule. I'm working with dogs. I think they may have good intentions, but I would like to think, but there's other aspects of it too.
I mean, just like anything, money is always a factor.
Yeah.
I think people spend money on dogs. You know what I mean? We put, I know I do. I spend a lot of money on my dogs, right?
No, we know.
Everybody spends money on dogs. People see that, just like, where there's a market, hey, I can get in this. Hey, I can make a lot of money doing this, right? Which there's nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong with making money. Hey, you gotta care for, you gotta pay your bills. You gotta care for your family. You gotta hit your financial goals, all that kind of stuff. But I think that if that's the thing that's leading you into it, maybe that could be a little flawed because your passion's not going to necessarily be in it. You know what I mean? I don't know. Like for me, it's probably more so the helping people than like, yeah, of course I like working with the dogs and I have a passion for working with the dogs. But I think before
Especially wiener dogs.
Oh, I love the wiener dogs.
Yeah,
We've talked about that
like a good
in
wiener.
Stay on
detail.
track. Stay on track.
But that's what got me in. My whole life, I like to help.
Got you into dog training.
Yeah. I like to help people, That's what got me into law enforcement, and it was a pretty good segue into dog training, is helping people. So I think if that's your passion, that's a healthy passion.
Maybe some people get into dog training because they want to be the lion tamer. They want to be the person that can handle an animal.
Yeah.
Something
Especially
like
one
that.
like other people are struggling with. Like it gives them a little bit of an ego.
Sure.
Yeah,
But
that can definitely be a factor. But all this should be considered by dog owners looking for dog training. Why did your trainer that you're looking at even get into dog training originally?
Right.
What's kind of their passion? What's their mission? What do they believe in? What's their philosophy? Because I think that kind of plays into the way they do their training in general.
Yeah.
Like the lion tamer type of dog trainer, the dog trainer that wants to tame lions, essentially. That reminds me of the guy on YouTube, Dog Daddy. You don't know who that is?
Yeah.
I hate him.
Yeah.
Not a good trainer.
Kind of weird.
But super weird, dude. Have you seen what this guy wears?
Yeah. I don't get it. I wear some weird stuff. So.
But that's the kind of guy I think is like a lion tamer type trainer. He's out there just to think that he can handle animals or manage animals or train animals, which what he's doing is not helping. For some reason, he has a large following and a lot of people working with him, but, not ideal. So that's what I think of when I think of like a lion tamer.
Well, it's also, I don't like follow him, but some of the videos that I have seen, I'm like, the owner puts the muzzle on the dog, and then he's roughing up this dog.
Right, then he roughs up the dog.
I'm like, go live with it if you're gonna go live. If you're the lion tamer,
right?
Let's go tame the lion. Right.
It takes time to tame lions, though.
Yeah.
That's why he's doing his training the wrong way. He's not taking the time. He's just all about the rough and tough in the moment.
Yeah.
It's like he gets a 15, maybe max, hands-on session with that dog in a group class format.
Right.
So how much attention is that dog getting?
Right.
Then he's telling the owners, hey, just do this. I guarantee those owners are going home and they're not experiencing the same thing.
Right.
Because they are doing the stuff with the dog.
Right. And that dog.
Long term, not good.
They're not going to do that to their own dog.
No.
You see what he does to those dogs?
Yeah,
he roughs them up real hard.
He's yanked them all around.
It's the same thing like all the Cesar Millan videos.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And,
Cesar can go into a room and he can, get with the dog, but that owner is not going to get with the dog the same way.
Right, exactly. He
Because
gets that
also-
dog's compliance quick using being a dog, essentially. Him being a dog to that dog.
Well, one thing with Cesar Millan is he changes his mindset to think like a dog, essentially. The owner is not going to do that.
Right.
Like that video you sent, was that one
With the
you
wiener
sent
dog?
With the wiener dog?
Yeah.
And the owners are like, oh my God.
He slams this wiener dog down off the couch. The wiener dog's like, oh shit.
Yeah.
He ain't never been put in check before.
Right.
But as soon as he leaves,
Yeah.
that wiener dog goes back to living life.
Exactly.
There's no management
it's like a
strategy
long-term process, and like people like Cesar Millan, they're not like your accountability coach like we are. He's going in there for his show, he's doing his consultation, then he's out.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And one of my favorite videos of Cesar Millan is when he's got this yellow lab in the yard.
Yeah.
And it's like a resource food issue. Have you seen this one?
Yeah.
Erin?
Oh yeah.
You haven't seen it?
Yeah.
I know Chris has, but the dog is like guarding food, and so Cesar Millan goes up and he's like challenging the dog for food, which is stupid. But the dog lights his ass up. I think Cesar like put the dog down initially with his normal like
he gets it to submit to him.
he did
legit.
like the alpha roll thing. And then he's like, see, the dog's relaxed. And then the dog just bites the crap
He
out of
turns
his
away
hand.
to look at the owner. He's
Right.
like, yeah, so you got to get him into the mic. Whoa, bam! That dog lights
Rips
him
his
up.
hand wide open.
He's kicking
Rips
it.
his hand wide open.
He's kicking the
And
dog.
they aired that?
Yes.
Yeah. But let me say,
It's all
look,
over YouTube,
I
dude.
need to watch
Hey,
it.
let me say this though. I did some research on that particular case. Apparently, he took that. He adopted
Oh, he
that
did?
dog. He took
he
that
does
dog
do that to a lot of dogs
Yeah, he's
that-
got a shit ton of dogs.
He's got the dog psychology center.
Yeah, so he's
in
doing good
California.
things. We ain't trying
Right.
to bash him. You know what I'm
I
saying?
like Cesar Millan. I'm a Cesar Millan fan.
Oh yeah, for sure,
Right.
for sure.
He's got literally over 100 acres for the dog
Yeah,
psychology
yeah,
center.
he takes
But
care
I
of
wonder
dogs.
if he does that for the the cases that are like extreme, where he's
He
like,
does.
this 30
Yeah.
minutes is not going
Right,
to be
he
it.
takes
Right.
it when it's too extreme for the owner to
Right.
handle.
Right. Yeah.
And he does have a staff of other trainers that work with people.
Right.
And all that,
I mean,
but-
if we did that, that would be crazy.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know?
you can't do that unless
No.
you're him.
Well, that's
Because
why I
he's
like-
got the money
Yeah.
to
Yep.
support a
And the
center like that
resources.
and the resources
Right.
and all that. But he started from nothing.
Right.
But that's then, in theory, that's not like he's going to be successful with that dog, but that's going against what he's
Right.
like his mission in
When it
terms of
comes
the
down
show.
to like what should be happening in that situation, like that owner should be working with the trainer who's got the long-term plan in mind.
Yeah.
Right.
That
Not
owner's still losing.
Right.
They
not
don't have
in
their
the
dog.
moment of flipping the dog over and getting it to submit. That's not really what you want to be doing. You
Right.
want to win that dog's mind over long term.
Right.
Right. So Cesar Millan kind of like a lion tamer.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
he gets in the pit with them.
Yeah.
you know?
He's like legit. He's good. I
He's a
mean, he's good to
legit
go.
lion
You know,
tamer.
he's a good dude. He's a good dude.
But then you got other trainers, that people see on social media that are just about the social media, getting the followers, getting the views, getting
Right.
all that, and they're doing things that are weird and questionable. Like Tom Davis, does consultations or whatever they are, where the person brings a dog, they just like Dog Daddy, they put a muzzle on the dog for Tom Davis. The dog starts reacting at Tom Davis for whatever reason. He's got a pet cat. He's like blocking the dog.
Yeah.
Shit doesn't
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah.
Like that right there is just for viewership on social media.
Right.
That's
Yeah.
all that was set up for.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Versus long
Which you can kind of know that because I haven't done, again, I don't like hardcore follow him, but I have listened to excerpts of his podcasts and different things like that. And I mean, like, I feel like he has a semblance and knowledge of how to do it the long way and the right way. He has elements
I'm
of
sure
all
he
that
does.
stuff. Like, so why why do that other thing if that's
Right.
if we already know the right thing to do? I don't know.
Right.
Like that doesn't.
Like he knows the right thing to do because he's been training for a while.
Yeah.
He's got other trainers that work for him and everything, so they're definitely doing the right thing in some degree.
Right.
But then he's got these YouTube videos of him doing this crazy shit
Right.
For the thumbnail.
for the views, for the thumbnail,
Yeah.
for the drama,
Right.
for the entertainment of the YouTube viewer.
Yeah.
Which ain't right, you
No.
know, because why?
Well, it's not right to the dog.
Why do that to the dog? Right. Why do that to the dog when you know that the long-term plan is what is going to help the dog long-term?
Right.
So anyway, there's a bunch of different dog trainers out there. If you're listening to this, you've probably seen them on your social media. Maybe you watch them, comment, like, all that kind of stuff, right? But the thing is, when you're working with a dog trainer or if you're deciding to become a dog trainer, you really got to figure out what the best type of trainer is for you to become, because there's a bunch of different trainers out there. There's a bunch of different ways that dog trainers operate. You've got your board and train trainers, which is typically like 1 or 2 people. They're boarding dogs in their house. They've got all these dogs. They've got to manage the dogs. They've got to manage their life. They've got to train. They've got to work with people. So they get very busy, right? And things happen in those situations. Then you got the private lesson trainers that are going out doing private lessons with people. Who knows what they're actually teaching? Because I've heard stories of private lesson trainers using e-collars on day 1. Just remoting the dogs,
Throwing things at
Throwing-
dogs.
yeah.
Bean bags.
throwing things at them, making noises, crazy shit,
Blasting air horns.
that kind of stuff. Then you've got the board and trains that are like a facility where they got people working there, multiple people, multiple trainers maybe, whatever they're doing there. So, and then you got the virtual trainers that are doing everything online through their e-courses and everything. So you got a bunch of different ways that dog trainers operate, right? What do you guys think about, as far as you know, how different trainers operate? What are your thoughts on, the way they operate, expectations, or if you are a trainer operating a certain way? You know what I'm saying? What's the thoughts on that?
I mean, I'd say from the client's perspective, it's confusing. I think there's a lot of confusion. Like what option is my best option? You know what I'm saying? And we obviously do board and trains. That's like the bread and butter of what we do is a board and train combined with some level of private lessons. But we also do virtual lessons. We also do solely private lessons. I've had a couple private lessons that are going great and being very successful, right? And then I've had some where I've done private lessons where it's like based on whether it's the owner or the dog or the issues at hand or whatever, like this is not going to be the best road to success for you. You know what I'm saying? Whereas a board and train can get us on track. It's still not going to solve that problem, right? Like there's still going to be a long-term strategy that we can do with private lessons, but there's some foundational things that are not going to get set in place where it needs to be in a private lesson format. Right. So when you look at like from the owner's perspective, what situation do we have? What am I dealing with my dog? What are the problems? What are my goals? And it's hard to determine what avenue do I go to? And then let's say I do decide on a board and train. That opens up a whole nother thing of like, what board and train do I choose? Now you have to figure out what type of trainer we're dealing with, what type of training methods and all that kind of stuff. And that gets confusing. I feel like a lot of people they cling on the certifications and titles of dog trainer. Hey, we have 75 years of combined experience. Okay, they must be experts. I'm not going to ask any questions. You do your thing, right? Or they're doing something weird that you're like, they're charging your dog with a cot. Like, well, they're the expert. They must know what they're doing. This seems weird to me. Must know what they're doing, right? So it's like, I think it's hard because this is, when you really think about it, the dog training. Well, yes, dogs have been involved with us for thousands of years, but the formal dog training is a relatively new concept, really, when you really think about it. You know what I mean? Like we haven't been doing it to this level.
Probably the past 10 years, maybe.
Yeah. I mean, to where it's been growing. Like obviously there's been dog clubs and things like that for a long time where people are training obedience and things like that. But as it becoming a standard where like people are like, okay, I'm getting a dog, I need to get formal training. That's a relatively new concept. And so it's not regulated. It's confusing. You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, and the other aspect of like just kind of going back to the first question, or what are these trainers' intentions? What are they saying, but what are their actions? And so these different types of board and trains, whether it's ran out of people's homes and it's just 2 trainers or whatever, like it's hard to send your dog away. Like, you know, it's hard to trust that your dog is going to be taken care of and in good hands. Like, I think most people err on the side of caution. And so when they go with someone, whether it's in any format, they're trusting that person.
Right.
And that person could be just blowing smoke, you
Right.
know, on,
Right.
oh yeah, we do this, this and that.
Good
Right.
salesman.
And then what the reality is totally different. And it's like the biggest aspect to that I would see is like the transparency of like, hey, like a place where you can trust them, a place where you can see what's happening, where you can hear what's happening, where there's proof of what's happening. I mean, like those are big aspects to take into consideration. That way you feel good, like knowing your dog's in good hands. 'Cause we've heard of some bad experiences, you know? So, I mean, I think also in the team aspect, having all that accountability in
Right.
terms of us internally, like, you know, we as trainers have each other to work off of, to stay in check, like to help each other. We have the support with our training assistants to kind of go along with our, I mean, without that, our job would be significantly harder.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And
Well, the accountability thing is huge,
Yeah.
right? Because I mean,
Yeah.
we're not impervious. We're human beings, just like everybody
Yeah.
else. We all experience human emotions. Frustration is a big one, right? When you're training dogs, you will get frustrated. I don't care who you are, right? And having somebody to be able to say, hey, you frustrated? You need to take a break?
Yeah.
Boop. It's just
Yeah.
a little comment. You go, yeah, I need to take a break. Or maybe no, I like, you know, you do start to become self-aware and be able to self-identify. I'm getting frustrated.
Yeah.
I need to take a
Right.
break right here, right? Whereas if
Right.
you're rocking and rolling, you don't have a team, you're by yourself, you're overwhelmed with dogs, you're down to timelines, you're getting stressed, you got to push things. Nobody's there to really your tunnel vision. It's not necessarily like, I'm not saying you're a bad person, right? But
Yeah.
nobody's there to help hold you accountable, but you're just you're in the trenches. You're going to be more susceptible to act upon your emotions and frustration.
yeah, or even just the discipline of showing up every day.
Right.
You
right.
know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it could be easy to on that Sunday morning.
Yeah.
You
Right.
know, you were going to the farmers markets on Saturday. You had a long day. It could be easy to, oh my gosh, it's 9 a.m.
Yeah.
Right.
Or you're
You
sick.
know? I have
Legit.
dogs in my care. Yeah, or I'm
Right.
sick, and it's like, you know, what do you do? Do you
Yeah.
stay in bed? Do you give in to that?
Yeah.
Or are you waking up? You're getting after. You're doing what your due diligence is. You're doing your responsibility to those owners and to that dog, and then you're tending to yourself. Like it can be easy to kind of give into that lack of discipline. You know what I mean? And then to those things saying, you know, do what you need to do.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
kind of tend to your personal life.
7 days a week. No breaks. Like you guys said, if you get sick, you're taking those dogs out. I remember times I would get sick. I could barely be walking. I'm taking these dogs out to go to the bathroom. But
Or
they
you're
don't-
not, because you're a disciplined individual.
Right.
You know
Right.
what I'm
I'm
saying?
super disciplined, but other people are not.
Right.
Which this brings up the point, you know, not everybody's going to operate the same. If you got someone that's working out of their house that has dogs in their house in a board and train like I used to do, you know, I can't say everyone's doing the same thing because they're not disciplined, because I've also heard other stories like the guy that was on John's Island that got shut down. You know what I'm talking
Yeah.
about? I forgot the name of the business,
Yeah.
but that dude had dogs pooping and peeing all over themselves, not being clean, not being taken out, dude sleeping all day. So it's like you don't know what you're really getting into. And
Yeah.
you also have to be able to see through what people are telling you, because they'll tell you that they're doing X, Y, and Z, and then they'll go off and do something else.
It's
Yeah.
hard though.
Right. And then if you have someone like, oh, can I come see your place? Because we do tours of our kennel. People want to do tours. They come by for tours and all that. They see what we're doing. But if you ask for a tour and someone's like, oh, for liability reasons, I can't have you do that, that's a red flag. I would already not be working with that person.
Yeah. Because it's like,
You know?
okay, we get you ran out of your house.
Right.
Right. But you chose to run a business out of your house.
Right.
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 You're taking in how some people view, we've seen it, someone's loved one, their family member, their dog that is they care about, and you're not going to let them see where they're going to be for
Right.
the next X amount of time. And
Right.
you want to charge how much money to say you're going to do X, Y, and Z.
Right.
I mean, I think that's telling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But you throw
It's a
that
reasonable request.
you
know
throw
what I'm
that
saying?
word liability in there, and people
Right.
are like, "Oh, okay,
Right,
that makes
right,
sense.
right,
That
right.
makes sense."
That's what everybody does.
Yeah.
That's what everybody does.
I
People
mean-
ask to look at some liability. We can't
Yeah.
let you do that, you know?
You know, but yet, like
I just won't do business with you then.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, but we as trainers, like we take a dog out to distraction, we have liability then.
Liability,
you
big
know,
liability.
that doesn't scare us. You know what I mean?
I mean,
Like,
we have dogs in our kennel that are a liability to people that come visit our kennel. We just have procedures that we put in place to ensure that
Exactly.
people are comfortable leaving their dogs, so that we're going to ensure nothing's going to happen to them.
Exactly. So it's like, if you are telling me I can't come check out your place because of liability, well, then what are you doing that's so unsafe
Right.
that I cannot see the area?
Right.
What are you doing that you're not controlling this area?
Right.
And then therefore, I don't care if I have a puppy
Right.
that has zero issues. I don't care if I have, you know, an extreme reactive dog. I'm not putting myself in that situation.
Right.
Or my dog.
Well, the other thing too is, you know, there's so much variation, especially in the trainers that are training them by themselves or maybe with one other person out of their house. I've heard of 2 instances in our local area of dogs dying in board and trains. One I know for a fact was a heat injury. During the summertime, it gets super hot in the south. This was many, many years ago. And this board and train person kept dogs in their garage with no AC, no type of climate control, just a bunch of dogs in there. Obviously, it's going to get hot, you know, and one of those dogs died from a heat injury.
Yeah.
That could have been prevented if you had proper protocols in place, because also if you're operating by yourself, sometimes you're working the dogs at the house. Hopefully they are. Sometimes they're going out meeting with clients. So if they're meeting with clients, who's supervising the dogs at the house? Do you have, you know, security cameras that are monitoring the dogs? Do you have monitoring systems? Do you have access control?
Temperature monitoring.
Temperature control systems? Do you have redundant temperature systems? Because, you know, one thing I learned in the Navy, redundancy is everything. Anytime we did something in the Navy, we'd have a primary system and a secondary, because that primary system at some point is going to fail.
Right.
And that secondary system comes online to support the mission until that primary system is reset. And so I've kind of mimicked that with what we do at Canine Revolution. There's redundancy.
Right.
So if one thing goes wrong, we've got a backup. You know what I'm saying? That comes down to climate control units. It also comes down to tools that we have, like blow dryers for dogs when they get a bath. If one goes down, we got another one on the shelf.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Different tools we have. If one goes down, we got a backup. If a broom breaks, we got another broom.
Yeah.
You know, simple things like that. Vacuums, you know, we got 2 big shop vacs.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So redundancy is everything. And you got to think about that from a dog trainer perspective as well.
Yeah.
And something else that I think about dog trainers is, you know, all of us, we had previous life experience, right? Chris was a cop, eating a lot of donuts, which, quick story.
Moderate
Nothing wrong with
moderate
that.
amount of
Quick
donuts.
story, when Chris came to work originally,
Oh, this is a
he
fake story.
He started getting me to go out to eat all the time. He's like, "What about lunch? How about Arby's? How about this? How about that?"
not true.
Going out to eat I gained bad weight. I gained bad weight. I had to dial it back in. So now we're dialed back in, but back then that was probably 2019 or whatever.
I mean, that's the honeymoon stage. You guys are having a good time. You
Oh,
guys
we were
just
well,
came
we've
together.
known each other since we were like
But
9
you
years
weren't
old. We're well out of our
working
honeymoon.
together. No, you
now
were
we're working together full
day in
time.
and day
Chris
out.
is coming off the cop
They're
life.
like, "Oh, this is great.
You know
how about
me.
some Dunkin'?" You know.
Listen, here's the real story.
No,
Chad's
no,
like,
no,
hey,
you
we
know
got to
me.
do distraction work. We got to take these dogs to these restaurants now, okay?
Well, that is
I
part
know
of
all
distraction.
these. Yeah, yeah.
But Chris is like, we got to go through the drive-through, on the way back to whatever.
You guys are just enjoying
As
being
you know me,
together.
I'm from the Navy. We don't have a lot of food options. We have the mess hall. You go there, you get your food, you're going to work. Chris, he's the cop. He's used to hitting the drive-through.
I mean, you gotta be efficient too. you
So
know.
anyway, we all have life experience,
Yeah.
right? Coming into dog training. Chris was a cop. Erin was a teacher. I was in the Navy. A lot of the things that we do in Canine Revolution, I've basically taken lessons that I've learned in the Navy and applied them to how we do things, like writing out procedures.
Yeah.
Procedures. You guys like procedures? You guys like the SOP?
I mean, yes, ultimately, yeah.
You like the SOP?
Can they be annoying sometimes? Yeah. But yeah, no, it's good.
Standard
Gotta have it.
operating procedures.
Yeah.
Right? Discipline equals freedom. So you have the discipline to have the procedures. Now you have the freedom to operate.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying?
100%.
So anyway, like things I learned in the Navy, which I'm super thankful for, those experiences, what I learned, the redundancy in operating systems, you know, procedures, grammar. Grammar was big in the Navy for me, especially because I was an officer. I had to write up a lot of reports. So thankfully, I learned that lesson That way, when Chris came, I had to teach him how to write properly. Erin came, I had to teach her.
It's crazy that he has
How to
to
write
teach
properly.
everyone how to write properly. Like,
Yeah.
no, everyone who comes here doesn't know how to write.
Right.
You know?
Yeah. I wrote reports too.
I know.
Okay.
I mean, I wrote
know?
lesson plans, but it's fine.
Yeah, but properly.
Right.
Proper
I was a
grammar.
teacher. I just
Proper
didn't
grammar.
know
Right,
how
right.
to
Yeah.
educate
See, I've
them.
brought this up before. I'm like, Erin, you were a teacher. You should know this. And you're like, I was a PE teacher. I didn't have to
Well, I
write
still had to
things.
submit things for approval.
Okay.
And they didn't really get flagged for double spacing.
I think I just wrote reports that nobody read.
Right,
So,
right.
So
Well, Chris was actually writing reports, so it's like chicken scratch
Yeah.
on the paper. So they're like,
like,
I don't know
must
what
be
this
good.
is. Just
That's
pass
because
it
he had
along."
his donut in his hand in his mouth while he was trying to scratch
there's
something down.
glaze stains on the report.
Anyway, bringing it back to the discussion at hand, because you guys, again, another rabbit hole we're going down. But
That's fine.
bringing it down to the discussion at hand, a lot of dog trainers probably don't have any of this life experience. You know, they're young, maybe they get into dog training, or maybe they're a little bit older, but they don't have the experience that helps them be a dog trainer, let alone if you're running a dog training business out of your house, you're also a business owner, which we'll talk about here in a little bit. But, you know, that can be a difficult change of pace. Also, if it's your first time, like managing yourself, you might be used to other people managing you, right? If you go to work at Walmart, you got a supervisor, right? If you're a teacher, you got a principal, right? If you're in the Navy, you always have a chain of command. Same thing for police. And you can, in the police force, you can easily manipulate your chain of command by delivering donuts to your supervisor,
100%.
right? So a
100%.
little manipulation there with the donuts. But anyway,
80%. It works 80%.
But anyway, you don't have that if you're working by yourself. You guys brought up accountability earlier. You don't have that, right? You think everything's good. You think everything's fine. Maybe a dog is having some diarrhea. You know, it's fine. You know, maybe it's not. Maybe it is. Maybe it's just something they got to work through. Maybe there's a bigger issue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is where being by yourself, a dog trainer operating by themselves, this becomes a little bit challenging. It gets a little gray area sometimes, and sometimes they have difficulty making decisions because you second guess yourself, or maybe you think that something's the right thing to do. It's not the right thing to do.
Yeah.
You know, for us, we always advise each other about big decisions that have to be made. Our normal everyday decisions, that's not really a big deal, but things that happen out of the ordinary, that's a discussion usually. If we have a decision that's a medical concern, we call the vet. You know, it's not really a big deal. It's just protocol. We have this network of people that support us. We support them, you know, like a vet, or, you know, from a business side, an accountant, you know, these kind of things. We call them for recommendations, advice, for things that we need that outside opinion on. You see what I'm saying? So that's where it gets a little bit gray with some of the dog trainers out there, not even mentioning the methods that they're using, which we talked a little bit about. But there's a lot of different methods, right? But for the life of a dog trainer operating by themselves out of their house, just think about what they have to do. They've got to take dogs out. They've got to train dogs. They've got to feed dogs. They've got to caretake for dogs. They've got to clean things constantly. That's something else that people are probably not doing, is the cleaning. That's a heavy load with dogs. Cleaning.
Literally.
Heavy load. Lots of cleaning. Hair
Lots of heavy loads.
everywhere.
You know?
Lots of big poop loads.
Yeah.
Hair everywhere. Dirt
Always.
everywhere.
You clean,
Slobber
there's more hair.
everywhere.
Which is an
Sometimes
inconvenience.
poop
Like, people
everywhere.
don't want to do that.
Right,
Like,
that's what I'm saying.
we as a team, we're cleaning daily. Like, you
Everyone
know,
has a
multiple
cleaning
times a day.
task. Everyone has a cleaning task that they have to do.
Yeah.
Every day. Every day. Like for us, every day.
Which I feel like
Multiple times
sometimes
a day. Cleaning,
people
cleaning,
don't
cleaning.
people
Right.
don't even think about
You don't think about it.
from a client perspective.
Right.
Like, even seeing some of these facilities or not seeing it, it's like, let alone what is the infrastructure, what is the where my dog's going to stay, but like, what is the overall cleanliness of that place?
Cleaning, dude. Cleaning.
And dogs
You
are
clean
messy.
It, hair again.
Yeah.
You clean it again, hair again.
Yeah.
You get you a German Shepherd, hair. Hair everywhere. You know what I'm saying? Lots of hair, lots of dirt, lots of saliva, lots of other bodily fluids sometimes. Lots of things going on, right? So the cleaning is a big deal. If you're operating by yourself in your house, that becomes a burden to you because you're trying to do all this other stuff, right?
Right.
You also got people calling you, wanting to get their dog trained maybe. You're trying to do your social media. You're trying to get out and do your training. It just gets to be a lot of stuff going on.
Yeah. Well,
right?
it's also like what makes you money, you know,
Right.
cleaning. Oh, that's not
Right.
something that's actively making me money.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Well, or they think, you know,
You
but-
start slacking on the cleaning, then you have some sicknesses, then you have some other problems.
Right.
It just goes downhill. But I remember when I was working by myself out of the house, at a certain point hit me. I'm like, this is not sustainable long term. So I don't know where that hits people, you know, trainers that are doing this by themselves, where they think it's sustainable long term or not sustainable long term, because to operate at a high, high level, you're operating at a high level for so long, doing all these things yourself, that's when it becomes a toll on you. That's when you start cutting corners on certain things that you don't want to happen. So just some things in the life of a dog trainer you got to think about. If you're a dog owner looking to hire a dog trainer, you got to think about that. You got to think about what's happening behind the scenes if you're sending your dog to them, or if you're doing lessons with them. You know, that you show up to a lesson with the dog trainer shows up to your lesson. What has that dog trainer been doing through the whole day? Are they going to have the mental cognitive capacity to give you everything you can get out of that lesson to you? Or are they kind of cutting corners on your lesson? You know, things you got to think about, things you got to consider. Because I remember back in the day when I'm working by myself, I was trying to do lessons and board and trains at the same time. Eventually I cut the lessons because they were taking too much time away from the board and train dogs. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So some people might not make that decision. They might just keep trying to do everything. You know, all this kind of stuff does take a toll. If you're a dog trainer or you're thinking about getting into dog training, you got to think about that as well. You know, what's going to be beneficial for you long term, what's sustainable long term, right? We've talked about different training methods in the past, but just a quick overview. You've got essentially your pressure trainers that are using remote collars on day one, leash and collar on day one, also old school known as yank and crank, where they're cranking dogs around on leashes. You've got your purely positive trainers, which are trying to only use purely positive rewarding essentially, but they're not. They're using other things as well. They just are not conscious of it, or they're just ignoring it. And when I say other things, I mean the other quadrants of operant conditioning that they can use. There's 4 quadrants. They say they're positive only, which means they're trying to use only positive reinforcement, but they're going to be using the other quadrants. Also, if you have a trainer that is correction only, pressure only, positive only, all these trainers are limited in their ability to train, right? So you want a balanced dog trainer that has a very, systematic laid out training progression to follow. You've also got to be careful because there's trainers out there that will say they're doing certain things and they're not.
Yeah.
So this is where it gets super tricky how to find a trainer.
Right.
Well, that's where you ask. You should be able to detail it out. What are you doing from day? Why? Like, for my dog's with you for 4 weeks. Briefly walk me through what that looks like.
Right.
We can.
Yeah. And recently we trained a dog. Me and Danny were training dogs where the owner had some questions, right? Because every dog is going to be a little bit different. It was 2 dogs that were fighting. And they asked, like, hey, we're just curious how, when did decisions get made to do this and do that? And, we laid it out for them. Every decision point, the reason why we made decisions, the reason why that decision was applicable, what happened as a result of that decision, which made other decisions happen. So you might be talking to a trainer that lays out a training progression, but what happens if there's a difficulty?
Yeah.
Do they know how to troubleshoot? Do they know how to modify the training progression? Do they know how to make a decision based on the performance of the last decision? So it kind of spider webs out. It gets overwhelming to think about, honestly.
Yeah.
But those are the main training methods. Am I missing a training method?
No, that pretty much covers. You got, and then there's all sorts of things in between.
There's all kinds of
There's
crazy
sometimes
shit.
we see some videos like, what? Well, I don't even know what they're doing
Well,
right here.
the pet cots getting thrown at dogs and all
Right,
this
right,
shit.
right.
This shit gets crazy, you know. So what you're looking for is a balanced dog trainer that can use all 4 quadrants of operant conditioning, that can use classical conditioning, and can make decisions, troubleshoot based on different things that happen. And you can probably ask these type of trainers, what have they seen in the past? What have they done in the past? What things have happened in the past? You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, if someone works with a particular trainer, it can kind of tarnish their view of dog trainers in general.
Oh,
Yeah, right.
Because I remember vividly.
Or styles of training,
Right.
right? Board and train. I had a bad board and train experience. I'm never going to a board and train again.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's definitely a big one. But another one is like I had a client of mine years ago. They had a trainer come over for a consultation. Their dog was biting people. Trainer came in a bite suit, started yelling at the dog, screaming at the dog, and the dog like ran away scared and peed everywhere. It's because the dog's insecure. It's biting people because of context. It's biting people because of the way that certain situations are laid out. So someone walking into your house in a bite suit, yelling, screaming, that doesn't make sense at all. And so that had tarnished, at least in the husband's view, dog trainers. He's like, dog trainers are jokes.
Yeah.
You know, this is
Yeah.
bullshit. But after the wife talked to me on the phone, we were convinced, or, you know, I was able to talk to her about, you know, scientific dog training, the way that dog training should be happening, balanced dog training. Got to go over for a consultation, talk to her, her husband, her kids. Everybody was there. Everybody's asking questions. Everyone's involved. I did not walk in with a bite suit. I did not try to intimidate the dog. And eventually during the conversation, the dog came over and laid next to me, which the dog had bitten many people, like severely bitten them. But this dog came over and laid next to me because of the energy I brought in the room. And that's what kind of won the husband over. And he was like, he told me about the bad experience with the other trainer and how he thought all trainers were shitty, all this kind of stuff. So,
I mean, we get that a lot. We
There's
get
a
that
lot
a lot
that
where people, we
happens.
do consultations and we go into the house and they're like, "What? That's weird. He normally does this,
Right.
or she normally is doing this, running away or
Mm-hmm.
being scared or doing." And it's like the energy that we're bringing to the table. We're not really that. Like, I don't need to do anything to you. We're just seeing if we're going to be a good fit for each other. I don't need to do anything with your dog. I'm just taking it like, hey, this is for us to talk about how we train, all that kind of stuff. And I'm more focused on the owner. My energy is very neutral. The dog's like, oh, okay, right. And we a lot of times don't. Sometimes we do. Sometimes we get bit, but
sometimes it happens.
But a lot of the times, especially those insecure dogs that are really, that's where a lot of these issues are coming from. They kind of warm up to us pretty quickly because we're not a threat to them.
Well, some dogs are so conditioned to biting people that walk in the door, dude. I remember this one dog I walked in. This dog charged the crap out of me. I had just stepped in and it bit the crap out of me on my leg. I was so angry.
Oh, yeah.
But after it bit me, it stepped back because I didn't respond.
Right. It's
I was-
like, oh, shit.
Yeah. It like stepped back, then it walked away. I was like, what the F just happened? Why'd your dog bite me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I remember Chris
Chris
was either doing a consultation or a pickup a long time ago, like a Malinois Shepherd mix.
Yeah.
He walked in, the dog was charging him. He had to feed the dog his arm.
Yeah.
The dog latched onto his arms.
Yeah.
Chris started bleeding everywhere.
Yeah.
Acting normal, though.
Yeah.
The people are like,
Yeah. So, anyways,
Right,
nice
right.
to meet you. I'm Chris. It bit my left arm, so I could shake him. Still get the handshake in there, and we were good to go. It's a good dog.
I mean, but that does kind of get difficult for people because they're talking to certain trainers, they're working with other trainers, and just the variation. The variation becomes very confusing for people, very difficult for people to sift through the bullshit, essentially.
Right.
But then the other part of being a trainer is taking care of people. That's a big part of. That's probably the most important thing when you're a dog trainer is taking care of people, training people. You know what I'm saying? Everyone thinks that because you're a dog trainer, you're training dogs, but you're actually training the people to handle their dog. Even if you're doing a board and train. When you're in the board and train process, during the portion of the board and train is when you get to focus on the dog. You get to troubleshoot that dog. You get to figure out what that dog, his real problems are, or his or her real problems are. Work through that with them. Provide your expertise as a dog trainer to that dog. But as soon as that board and train's over, you have to shift gears, and now you're focused on the people, which that might take you longer to do than the actual board and train.
It will take you
Yeah.
longer.
Most
100%.
cases.
Which is like, that's where I say, go back to like why people get into dog training. They think it's easy. They think they're just working with dogs when, like you said, it's majority people.
Right.
I mean, what you did with that dog for that time is not irrelevant because you laid the foundation. But when that dog goes home, that's what you're transferring all of that information
That's
to.
when it gets hard.
And it's like, it can be easy for that dog. They remember the context of the home. They remember the owners. And it's like teaching the owners, like, yeah, this isn't a black and white. This isn't reprogramming, right? And like teaching them how to interact with their dog or whatever it may be, how to do the training with their dog, because you see all ends of the spectrum. You see the people who do expect a totally different dog. You see the people that need to change their mindset on dogs, or like they need to learn to trust their dog. So there's a bunch of different situations that if you're just studying dog behavior and dog training and all that, like that's not going to cover it,
Right.
you know,
Right.
like, and that's a whole other aspect of the business.
Well, one thing that people do that want to be a trainer or think they're a trainer or a wannabe trainer, whatever, I train my own dog so I can train other people's dogs, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we hear it all the time in clients. You know, I trained my shepherd back in the day, but this one, this one's crazy.
Right.
It's
right,
a normal
right.
dog. It's a normal dog.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the
Yeah.
service dogs out there that they're like, I trained this one.
Right,
I got her. And then
right.
they're like, sit. And the dog's
Right.
like,
Right.
just looking all around, not sitting.
Right.
And, you know,
Right.
I mean,
good stuff.
you ultimately have to be a teacher. You know what I mean? That's what it boils down to. We're all teachers, and I think that you have to have a little bit of a passion for helping people, teaching people, right? Because if you solely are getting into dogs because your passion is solely on the dogs,
Or you think you train your own dogs, so
Right.
now you can train others. That's
Right.
what you think.
yeah, hey, I'm the dog whisperer, man. You know what I'm saying? But like, it's not going to cut it.
Right.
If you can't translate that information to that particular family, every family's going to live their lives different. They have a different picture in their mind of what life looks like with their dog. It's your job to accomplish that expectation or to teach that owner to have a realistic expectation,
Yeah.
right? There are definitely cases where owners like, hey, I want this with this dog. That's probably not a realistic expectation, but here's what we can do, and here's how we're going to manage life with that. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying?
Right.
And if you can't teach that or communicate that, you're limiting yourself.
Let alone teach two different learners. These people who are your clients are still people. They have their way that they went through, and they learned in the way that's best for them. Whether it's, if you're jamming down their throat, something that makes sense to you, but it makes sense to no one else, it does not matter.
Yep.
And
Right.
so being able to identify that in someone and adapt how you're teaching them is important. And because otherwise you're just not opening the door for them, you know? So a lot of times, sometimes even in our follow-ups, I think we've all been there where we're saying the same thing.
Right.
But it's like at some point we have to recognize it can be easy to just stick to that default and just be like, well, they don't get it. They're not going to do it,
Right.
whatever it may be. And so it's like, or you need to figure out what makes you a professional is being able to adapt. We adapt to the dog, we adapt to the people and making it stick. And
Right.
like, that's also very rewarding when you can figure out, like you see it in there, that aha moment where they're like, this makes sense,
Right. Right.
Even if it's an active thing, like there's clients we talk to daily where they're like, oh yeah, that does make sense now that you mention it. And it's like,
Right.
good, thank
Right.
God. You're like, but it's like it's rewarding, but it's like, if you don't do that, then you're not successful.
Right.
Well, now apply that logic to private lessons. You see what I'm saying? So now, like,
More
if you
challenging.
can't make it click
In that
for that
short
owner,
time.
and
Right.
you just sold them a 5-lesson package deal, right? You got 5 lessons with me. You're paying $1,000, whatever. But all 5 of those lessons are the same thing because you can't communicate to that owner on what they're doing potentially wrong or what they're not doing optimally. You
Right.
know what I'm saying?
Right.
Now that even gets hard. I've had so many people come to us to do private lessons even where it's like there was no progression. I bought these 5 lessons. We did 3 of them. Then they ghosted me. There was no general progression. Whereas like we were going back to open communication with them. Like I'm like, hey, there's no package deal. Get the lessons as you want them.
Yeah.
But here, for based on your goals, here's what a potential progression looks like. Here's potentially how long it's going to take.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, the lessons too, you're relying upon that owner's discipline to do
Right.
the work
Exactly.
between the lessons. Without your expertise, that's where it gets difficult.
Assuming they even understand the material.
Exactly.
You see what I'm
So
saying?
that's where it gets like, also as a dog trainer, you have to be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations.
Oh yeah.
Because you are someone's accountability coach.
Right.
You have to tell them what they're doing that's working for them, what they're doing that's not working for them, and you have to make recommendations that they might not like or they might be opposed to. And if they're opposed to it, you got to have a conversation about it. It shouldn't be you versus them. It's you and your dog owner you're working with working together to find a solution that helps them meet the goals with their dog to the best of their ability.
Right.
Now, some owners are going to be limited because I've had people tell me, I'm not going to do this, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
And I'll tell them, okay, that's going to limit your ability to meet your goals, but you can get close
Or
to
it's
them.
going to extend our timeline,
Right.
right? Like
Extend
like we
timelines.
can do what you're
Right.
saying, but it's going to look a little different here.
Right. So you got to have those conversations. You got to have uncomfortable conversations, right? And it just is what it is, because it's your job as a dog trainer to provide your expertise to someone to help them meet their goals. And it's not always going to be rainbows and butterflies getting there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Tough conversations, tough situations. Things are going to go sideways. Also, that owner, whether you're doing a board and train follow-up or a private lesson, between your sessions, something might happen that throws a wrench in the plan.
Yep.
Now you got to work through that wrench, you know. So it can get kind of crazy. You know, it can get kind of crazy. But then you have trainers too where they come across special dogs, right? Special dogs, special rehabilitation cases. Maybe they've experienced before, maybe they haven't. How are they going to handle that? I think a smart trainer that's working by themselves will say, I can't do this. Or they'll limit what they can do, right? If you have a team of people, that's easier because now you have a team to work through a situation. Probably someone on that team has experienced something like that or close to the special case. But there are some dangerous cases out there, right? And you got to play that safe. So having a trainer that can handle that, having a trainer that is competent in being able to handle these types of things, important. Any other thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, these can be rare. Like we've had some crazy cases. These can be rare cases, but these can be cases like if you're operating by yourself, puts you out of work. You know what I'm saying? One real good bite from some of these dogs, and some of these dogs have some crazy bite pressure. They'll thrash you, they'll grab onto you, they'll cause major damage. They get you like on the face or the neck or something like that. Like you're out of work for a little bit. You know what I'm saying? So you have to be cognizant. You have to be safe. You also like the dog daddy stuff ain't gonna work on this dog. You know what I'm saying? You ain't getting a muzzle on this. You can't get a muzzle on this dog.
Right.
You know, maybe you got a leash on this dog.
Right. Well, this is where protocols come into place, right? You're gonna have some protocols for that special case, that rehabilitation case,
right?
To be able to handle it safely and get the dog on the same page that you are.
Yeah.
But if you don't have that experience, if you don't know how to do these things or even how to think outside the box of your normal,
yeah, exactly,
this becomes a problem for you.
Yeah.
Well, and I also think it's something that can be kind of taken advantage of too, in terms of like we just heard about a place that because they're having issues in the kennel, they're like, oh, this dog, we can't train this dog. You know what I mean? Like I think it can be so. And
it's
then,
like a black and white thing, right? It's like I literally don't know what to do. We're stuck.
But now in the owner's mind, they're thinking, oh my God, I have this crazy dog. When it's like, you know, it is worth getting opinions. Like we're like, no factor. Like, what, are you serious? Like, but then there's those actual special case dogs. So some people think they have a special case. And then there's some people don't even realize they have a special case. You know, they're not even tracking.
Which as a practical example, which we see a lot, an insecure dog, a fearful dog that will bite when it's backed into a corner. You put it in a kennel, it's backed into a corner. You got to get that dog out of the kennel, right? People are like, well, I can't go in there and get the dog. It might be as simple as just having a little bit of experience. It's like, hey, I'm going to leave this leather leash on the dog. I don't have to go in the kennel. I just grab the leash. I take the dog out of the kennel. Now it's not backed in a corner. We're fine. We're safe. No, dog's not trying to bite me. The dog doesn't want to bite you in the first place. Right. But you don't know how to just do a little troubleshooting step that could solve the whole problem. We don't have to get physically violent or aggressive with the dog. We don't have to, I've got to show this dog who's boss because it's biting at me. Like, no, it just doesn't want to come out of the kennel. Like, is there another way we can get it out of the kennel without using all these crazy tactics? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, or it's like the trainers that are quick to say, like, because they can't, the dog needs to be euthanized.
Oh, yeah.
And so it's like,
that happens all the time.
It is work. Like, we get recommendations, like where trainers recommend dogs to us. I mean, they know we're a team. They know, like, we have a success rate of like, we don't turn down dogs. We're training dogs. We're working with dogs for the lifetime of them. And so, I mean, even for that, like that's, if I'm a client and they're like, hey, look, this may not be the best case for me because of X, Y, and Z, but this company, maybe look at them, you know, that's I would respect that. Of like, okay, like, like, thank you. You could take my money and then you could have my dog sit in a kennel for X amount of time and then be like,
which has happened,
needs to be euthanized, you know, and that's not right. But like, you know,
it does happen.
It can be daunting to feel like you have that type of dog.
Well, and that's a little bit of an ego thing too, right? You know, like, hey, if I can't do it, there's nobody that can do it. So this dog is going to just be the way it is and needs to be euthanized. You know what I mean?
I mean, if someone's telling you to euthanize your dog, you should probably check in with other people.
Yeah, get multiple opinions for sure.
But that creates a fear. of like, oh my gosh, I have
does
this
create a
dog
fear.
that people are telling me to euthanize it. The trainers are telling me to euthanize it.
Right.
And then that goes back to why are they a dog trainer? What's their history?
Right.
You know, what's their philosophy? And it can become a rabbit hole.
Yeah. And how do they troubleshoot those types of situations? You know, because that, like the highly insecure dog, might need some more troubleshooting, might need some additional steps in their progression to get them on the path, right? And then if that doesn't work, how do you pivot? How do you modify what you're doing to get the dog good to go? You know what I'm saying? The one thing a lot of people don't realize that dog trainers are doing in the life of a dog trainer is traveling to people's houses, which a lot of dog trainers do. Just like any other service, HVAC, plumbing, these type of service people, your dog trainer is a service provider providing a service to you, and they're traveling, right? And that could be an hour to this location, an hour to that location, 30 minutes here, 30 minutes there. But in the total day of a dog trainer, all that starts to add up to a lot of time spent traveling from one place to the next place to meet with people, do follow-up sessions, do training sessions, do all this kind of stuff. And if they're doing board and trains in addition to the board and train dogs, this is why a trainer operating by themselves out of their house, you start to ask these questions. What's happening when you're traveling around doing X, Y, Z? Now, some trainers will not travel. They'll force you to come to them, which there's pros and cons to that. You know, the pro to the trainer is they're saving time by not traveling. The con is that you're not working in your house. You're not working in your territory, which might be a key factor for you and your dog specifically. Some dogs maybe not. Some dogs maybe it is. So if you're working with a trainer, that should be a consideration. But for us, we go to people's houses because, number one, we want to be convenient to people. People are busy. People got a lot going on. We live in the world of convenience. So if we come to you, it's more convenient for you. Number two, your dog is going to behave differently in your house than it will other places. That's due to context.
Yeah.
Now, when we take a dog into a board and train, it's actually good for the dog to be immersed in the board and train experience, learn what they need to learn at their level. We go through the distraction work, taking them back to their house. Now the context of the house is back, but because of all the work we've done in the board and train, we can work through that context and get the dog good to go at the house to the owner's goals. So some considerations of trainers traveling around town to different people's houses, doing different things. If you're a trainer specifically, you got to think about nutrition. You know I'm going to talk about.
We know we're going there.
We know we're going there.
Oh my God.
We got to talk about nutrition.
I know.
Or if you're a service provider.
That just.
Or if you're a service provider, right? If you're an HVAC, if you're plumbing, if you're a dog trainer, you got to take care of yourself so you can take care of other people. So I know for me specifically, which I'm different than a lot of people, I had to get off of Chris's fast food train when he started working here. Right?
It wasn't a train.
Because back in the day, we'd be going to travel to people's houses. There's Arby's, let's go. There's McDonald's, let's go.
No, not McDonald's. It was not a come on.
Arby's.
Oh, that was the line in the. That was the
McDonald's
line in the
trash.
Chick-fil-A, let's go. You know, this kind of stuff. So now what I do is I plan out my day with my food, my drinks. You know, my drinks are going to include the Jocko Go energy drink, obviously. Maybe a Jocko Hydrate, obviously. But my food, I'll take the food thermoses. I'll heat up my food, prepare my food, put it in a thermos. Now I got a meal with me ready to go. If I'm on a quick pinch and I'm on the road, wasn't expecting it, stop by a grocery store, get some deli meat. You know, get some simple stuff that's not fast food like Chris had tried to get me to do a long time ago.
Whoa.
Okay.
That's just what works for me personally.
I mean, come on now.
You know? But you got to think about these things. You got to plan these things out.
Well, yeah, but that comes from seeing the benefit of that. You know what I mean? And
do you want to perform optimally or not?
Well, I agree.
Yeah.
But sometimes it's easy to be like, oh, sorry, don't have time for that. Got to get to X, Y, and Z. Next thing you know, you're hitting that drive-through. And I will say, depending on the drive-through, there's a good alternative you can make.
Valid.
You know?
Valid.
Like what?
Like Chick-fil-A grilled nuggets.
Are you kidding me?
What? Kale salad on the side? You're good to go.
Better than McDonald's. She's got a valid point.
Better than deli meat.
I mean, if you're going to pick out fast food, that's probably a good choice.
I'm just saying. And Chick-fil-A now taking over. I mean, the only day you're out of luck is Sunday, you know? But I'm just saying, making smart choices.
If you have to, there are smart choices like
But
you
we're
said.
not going to sit there, you know, it's tough. as you know, a client to know, like, what's your diet like?
Right,
you know, what a
right.
question to ask.
Well, I mean, you can look
but
at
you
somebody
can-
and tell.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You can look at them and tell.
Right.
If somebody can take care of themselves, then they can take care of you better.
Well,
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%.
For sure.
I mean,
100%.
that goes to the gym too.
Right. Well, you
Yeah.
could ask. I mean, if you're a client hiring a dog trainer, you can definitely ask them questions. What's your deadlift looking like? What's your bench press?
Hey, I just
looking like?
happen
But
to have
it's-
this home gym with a bar set up, a couple plates. Can you lift that?
Well, but yeah, you know what?
You're hired.
Maybe and I could say from my perspective, that would be nice because I feel like maybe some people see me pick up their Roddy or their
Right,
cane
right,
core,
right.
so
Oh,
they're like,
"You're
We've
a
had
girl."
that. Yeah.
they're like,
You're a
are you
girl.
sure?
Right.
When I
right.
was training a dog with Chris, and you're gonna train the dog,
You're going to
Good-
deal with that.
That does happen.
and so
That
you
does
know,
happen.
but
You know, back in the day before I hit my
Aaron's
cut.
like, what's your deadlift, bro?
yeah,
Yeah. You know, like back in the day before I hit my cut, you know, this was a couple of years ago, I was pretty bulky.
Yeah.
Right? People are like, dude, you lift weights. I'm like, yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Eating a
okay,
lot of food,
Dude,
right?
yeah.
So, I mean, people do say things, right? But it does matter to people. It does matter. I wouldn't say to everybody, but if a trainer can take care of themselves, if your service technician can take care of themselves, they're going to take better care of you. Now, with that being said, there are exceptions. My plumber. You guys know my plumber?
I met your plumber.
This dude drinks Mountain Dew all day and smokes cigarettes, and this dude gets it done.
There's
So there are
always
exceptions.
anomalies in the world. I mean, there was this 65-year-old on the SWAT team, smoked every day,
Oh,
drank
yeah.
every day. He was a
Oh, yeah.
freaking beast.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
always anomalies in the world. You know what I'm
People
saying?
are out there.
well, and what I will say is something I admire about you.
Oh, shit.
You know,
Don't-
I will
don't blow his
say-
head up too
Pumping
much.
my ego
I'm not.
right now.
But it's not like, you know, you're going to sit there and, ask your trainer. I mean, most people are not going to ask this. But, you know, you create a online presence
Yeah.
where it's already there.
You already
know?
know.
You're,
Right. You already know.
Yeah. Well, you see, like, okay, we got this chicken man out here. We got this bird man. So, you know, cares about the environment. It's got that
That's
pest
right.
control out there. Cares
right.
about the dogs. He's posting his meal every morning,
Oh,
you
yeah.
know.
I haven't done
so,
that in a while.
well, yeah,
Maybe I need to
I
bring
know.
it back.
I was
It'll
going
be
to
on
say.
tomorrow.
I was
It's
going
the
to
same
say.
meal.
It'll be
it's
on-
the same meal for years.
You should
That's
just
the
have the
joke.
same picture with the same caption and on a rotation every
that's a
morning.
good idea. That's a
But
good idea.
what I mean is, like, you know, I see already, like, this guy is thinking about himself and he's taking care of himself, or, you know, even on this, like, there's just a presence, you know, it's not
Right.
on Canine Revolution's page,
Right,
but it's
right.
on yours.
Right.
And so, like, those things, like, yeah, maybe people aren't like that. Like, I don't post a lot. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? So, like, someone wouldn't know that about me.
Mm-hmm.
But it is a plus to kind of have that in it. So it's like doing your research,
Mm-hmm.
you know?
That's right.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you can, like, we live in a world where people are like, oh, you don't want to judge people. You don't want to shame people, things like that. But I'm like, dude, that's like when I'm shopping around for the things I care about, you know, maybe some firearms training, maybe some jujitsu, right? I'm looking at that person, that head person, right? Do they look like they honor that craft?
Right.
Do they look
Right.
like they are, especially when you're talking about like firearms, tactical training, self-defense training or whatever, like that person should be in shape, right?
Right.
Martial arts training, that person should be in shape in
Right.
general, right?
Right.
And so same thing, like we're in a dog training, we're in a physical, I'm not saying we got to be ripped, you know what I'm saying? But maybe we should.
Well, I mean,
You know,
yeah, I
but
even think
Six pack or you're fired.
It's a physical world. It's a
Yeah.
physical world. If you are out of shape, if you're unhealthy, if you're eating trash
Right.
food that's going to make you sluggish, and like that's going to affect how you're treating my dog, the level of work my dog's
Yeah.
getting, your ability
Exactly.
to walk
You're
a
gonna get sick
mile
more.
is diminished.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I
Well-
mean, people that look like they take care of themselves or do take care of themselves, you know they're disciplined, which means they're going to take better care of your dog.
Right.
well, I mean, I think about from the PE perspective. In my graduating class of PE,
Dude,
you
a
know,
lot of fat PE
there
teachers.
and we had that debate. We sit at a table
Like,
and
come
we're
on.
like, hey, like, what do we, and like there are overweight people sitting at that table that are like, yeah, I would not take me seriously.
Yeah.
And it's like that's not enough for them to change their lifestyle.
Right, right.
But
I mean,
like
it's a-
I will say, like, I went my first teaching assignment, like I was the youngest teacher, but I'm also, we're teaching weight training. There's another female teacher who's a little overweight, you know, she had a different period. And it was like, I felt like the turnout of my class because I was younger, but like, so I reached them more, but I'm doing the workout with them. I'm going through the motions. I'm showing that I can do it. I'm showing that you can challenge the weight you're doing versus the one, so you're just going to lift that and here's a video on good form. And then you're also going to do, when you go home, you want to do these stretches. Oh, here's a video on the stretches. There's pictures around the, like, okay, but you're not doing it.
That makes me think of a dog trainer that's going to tell you what to do, but not do it
well,
with you.
You need to walk your dog.
Demonstrate.
Hey, let's go for a walk. Grab your dog. Let's go. I'm going to show you what this heel position
I've been
looks
on
like.
walks with clients where they're smoking me.
Yeah.
They're walking back. And I'm like, dude,
Chad did a follow-up once where the client was on the bike. Riding a bike with the dog. Chad, so what you want to do?
I'm running next
hold
to
the
him,
heel
dude.
position. He's jogging.
Hey, you want to train your dog? I'm gonna train your
Hell
dog.
Yeah.
We're gonna do whatever you want to do. You know what I'm saying? So I have to make sure I'm physically, mentally, cognitively, everything capable of helping you meet your goal.
Let alone it goes down to, if you don't take care of yourself, you're going to get sick. You're going to get lazy.
Right.
You're going to wake up that morning, not feel great. You're going to want to
Well, you just don't have the care to take care of yourself.
Right.
Why would you care to take care of a dog or something else? Or,
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
Same thing if you're looking at, the way that your trainer's operating. Are they on time? Are they in a clean appearance?
You mean, are they early?
Are they early?
Don't get them going.
Do they have a clean appearance? If you're a trainer, you need to take these things seriously. And the reason why we're bringing these things up, this is a podcast for dog trainers and for dog owners. But if you're a dog trainer, going back to the way you take care of yourself from a health perspective, fitness perspective, if you look in the mirror and you're like, hey, I'm not that reflection, you need to make a change, right? If you're a dog owner, you need to seek dog trainers that are able to take care of themselves. How do they also present themselves, right? Are they dirty? Which sometimes dog trainers are going to be dirty.
Sure, you don't want too clean of a dog trainer, right?
Right. You don't want them like spick and span.
I want to see, hey, you're getting after it. So you got a little dog poop smear on you.
Dog
All
poop,
right, that guy's getting in there. He's cleaning the kennel.
I mean, there's some times that I would, baby wiping down before I go into it.
I've done that before.
You know?
I've done that before.
I mean,
but
we're getting
dog
after
trainer,
it.
You know the look of like somebody that's dirty from working and then a dingy person.
That's what I'm saying.
Like that's
what
your lifestyle. You know what I'm saying?
Like you gotta know this person's getting after it.
Right.
But also professional.
Yeah.
Timeliness. How are they on time? How do they present themselves? How do they communicate? All these kind of things. Do they say dude too much?
Dude.
Maybe they're too relaxed.
Dude.
Maybe they're not professional enough.
Bruh.
But if they don't say dude at least once, maybe they're not.
They're
They're unprofessional.
They're not chill
They're
enough.
not saying it. Maybe they're not chill enough. Right.
Yeah.
So it's a
They're
healthy
not personal.
balance. Right. It's a healthy balance.
Really?
We say dude a lot.
Yeah.
By the way.
It's a healthy balance, though. You know what I'm saying? Of getting, being that professional that your dog owner needs to work with, being their friend, being their accountability
Having a
coach,
relationship.
being their friend. You're having a relationship with them,
Yeah.
right? All these kind
Well,
of
also,
things.
I mean, you gotta think if you don't have a true relationship with your clients, they don't feel comfortable reaching out to you to troubleshoot things, right? It's like, all right, we'll see you at the next lesson. Like I always tell my people, like, yeah, okay, we're going to see each other in 2 weeks for a private lesson, but I want them to be comfortable saying like, hey, what was it that you set up? Because you're going through a lot of information. It's not going to be that simple.
Yeah, but to kind of counter off that, some trainers want that.
Right.
Some trainers want you to feel uncomfortable to reach out.
Right. True.
Because it's like, hey, they already got what they needed from you.
Right.
You paid for your service. They're done. Their dog's home.
And they operate under the, well, if I don't hear anything, everything must
No
be
news
good.
is good news, right? Where it's like, hey, is that person checking in? What does it look like after training? Are you checking in with me?
Right.
Like when we leave an appointment, we're scheduling another one. Like, we're asking what they want to do next, asking what their goals are. And so I just think, it can be also easy to fall into that trap of like, all right, well,
Let me know.
yeah.
Right, exactly. Last thing I want to talk about real quick for the dog trainer specifically, owning a dog training business, that can be a challenge. You've got to think about a lot of things. You got to think about, holy shit, you got to think about a lot of things.
Yeah.
Depending on how you're running your business. But you want an accountant, that's helping you run your books. You want a lawyer that can help you make sure everything is legally sound, right? You want to make sure that you have your insurance, your liability insurance, your business owner insurance, your workers' compensation, all these different kinds of things. You got to have your business licensing, taxes. Don't forget about your taxes, right? So taxes, every thing that you make money on, you're getting taxed on that.
Bullshit.
So taxes might be bullshit, right?
Might be.
Oh, they are.
They might be bullshit, right?
Okay.
But still, it's something that
So you
happens.
still got to do it.
What happens is, a dog trainer, they start making money. They start spending all that money They don't realize it, but sometime down the road, they're going to get a tax bill. Now you got to pay that tax bill. So being financially astute, being financially disciplined, just like with everything else, comes into play, right? So you want to break out all of your income, make sure you're putting it in different places that it should be going to make sure you're set up for success. Long term, what are you trying to do with your business? Maybe you need some money for that. You got inventory, right? You got all kinds of things that you have to consider from a business perspective. And it's just a lot of little things that go into it. I think as a dog trainer, you don't think about this until you're in it. Mm-hmm. Once you're in it, things start happening. Now you got to figure it out as you go. You know what I'm saying? And I think a lot of businesses start up that way or work that way, where they got into a business because they had a passion or because they like the work or whatever. But now you're a business owner as well, right? Now you're a business owner as well. Now you got to figure all this stuff out. And it's a lot of stuff that happens, a lot of things you got to think about, a lot of things to take into consideration. So just a quick blurb on that. Have an accountant, have a good business, but you want to keep your business and your personal banking separate. So you got to have business banking set up, insurance, legal, all this kind of stuff, right? Business licensing, accounts, a bunch of stuff that goes into that. You got to think about marketing. So if you want to talk more about running a dog training business, that might be better done in a consultation with me or a virtual lesson with me if you're a dog trainer trying to figure out business things, which I can help you with. But just know there's a lot that goes into it, and it catches up to you pretty quick. 1 or 2 years, you don't really see a lot of business impact. Once you cross that 2-year threshold, now things start catching up to you. The taxes start catching up. Insurance start, all this different stuff that you weren't really thinking about or paying attention to. Now it's catching up to you. So you got to be ready for that.
Well, right? from the perspective of a dog trainer that doesn't own a business, right? Like maybe you want to be a dog trainer, right? Maybe you have that thought of like, hey, I'm never working for somebody again. I want to own my own business. I think I was your first full-time employee, right?
Yeah.
Maybe?
Yeah.
Right. So I jumped in pretty early in, and I watched you build a lot of it and deal with a lot of the business stuff. And like that showed me, I'm like, I have no desire to be an entrepreneur. I have no desire to do all of that stuff. I'm perfectly fine working for you. Right. So like as a dog trainer, there are teams like us that are doing stuff. It's like, man, I want to be a dog trainer, but I'm just not business savvy. I hate math. I don't want to deal with all that stuff. Like there's still options for you to find a really good team and work for somebody that's doing good at all the business stuff.
Well, when I got into dog training, I didn't want to have a business. I even looked at going other places to work because I didn't want to have a business. I just wanted to train, but there's no good places to work at.
Right. Well, hey, somebody had to start it.
So I
had
to jump in.
Glad it was you.
So anyway, just some discussion on the life of a dog trainer. Is there anything that we missed or anything we kind of want to wrap up here? Any good information? Just know you're going to be busy if you're going to get into dog training, especially if you're doing board and trains, whether you have a team or whether you're by yourself. You're going to be busy either way because guess what? Dogs have to go out. They got to go potty. They deserve physical, mental exercise every day. So you can't just not do that with them. Which if you're training X amount of dogs, that's X amount of physical, mental, because each dog needs it, right? And physical exercise is not throwing them in the yard and letting them run around. That's not physical exercise. You got to walk them. You got to deliberately do some type of exercise with them. So I wouldn't say get into dog training if you're looking for, I don't want to say easy because it can be easy once you get used to it, but it's challenging.
I mean, I also think, if you're looking to become a dog trainer, right, less from like kind of like where Chris and I are, like not the business owner perspective, but joining a team, picking a team that's going to set you up for success to handle everything that goes on in the day-to-day life, like with our apprenticeship, like we have a good apprenticeship that I feel set me up for success to go and talk with clients, handle different dogs, be kind of consciously thinking outside of the box. Whereas we've talked about before, some programs you get trained in 30 days, whether you're done, certified, whether you're ready or not.
That don't make sense.
They put you in this black and white program where you're just going to go through the motions of you graduate in 30 days. Cool. You can train dogs now. So, I mean, in theory, like you want to feel good about what you're doing. You want to feel like you're good at it. And so those are things to consider. You know,
Yeah.
we talk about like, you know, the cheapest program or the cheapest thing isn't always the most beneficial or the best. Same thing with the easiest route isn't always the most rewarding.
Right.
You know, I mean, yeah, you may train a few dogs, but deep down you'll know like you're going to hit roadblocks.
Yeah.
And are you going to be able to get over them, or do you have to walk away from them and turn around and not overcome them?
Right.
And if you care, that's going to stay with you for a long time. You know, this dog I couldn't train it. You know, I couldn't get it out the kennel, so I had to send it home. Well, now you're that trainer.
Yeah.
And or you can overcome that because you went through the right training program and you feel good about it.
Right.
So
Pursue challenge in life, you know. I mean, especially if you're like a young person, you don't have life experience, start pursuing challenging things. I just look back on my life, different things that's just how us growing up, that's how we lived our life. You know what I mean? Hey, time to go to college. Hey, let's go to a military college to get after it. You know what I mean? There was things that was hard, and that slowly grew us. Went into law enforcement. You went into the military. I know there was challenges in the teaching world. You know what I mean? You're being met with these challenges and almost going for the challenge, right, to overcome it, and that's going to make you stronger. And that has 100% paid off in this. Like, there are definitely dogs that come like, hey, I want this dog trained, and your instinct goes what? Oh, great. I don't want to deal with this.
Right.
This is going to be, this dog's going to try to fight me. And then you shut that off. You go, hey, you know what? I want the challenge. I'm going to learn from this. This dog, I have the tools that are needed to help this dog and help this family. I want to take this on, right? And like just having that perspective shift will help you in life. And like, it's not just about the dog thing. Like I said, especially to those young people that maybe you're not old enough yet to get into the dog world. Look for things that suck and do it. You know what I mean? That's going to make you a stronger person. And it kind of ties into with what Erin's saying is like, it can be tempting, that 30-day certification, and I'm training dogs. Like, why wouldn't I go for that option? It's like, you're not going to be the best that way. Always look for the hardest route, you know, that's going to really, truly develop you into the trainer you need to be.
That 30-day certification might be part of your path.
Sure.
You know, but it shouldn't be the end of your path. That's
Right.
not really going to set you up, because you got to learn dogs. You're not going to learn that many dogs in 30 days.
Yeah.
You got to learn people. You know, if you're going to be working as a dog trainer, you got to learn people. And a lot of the dog training schools around the country, they don't even touch on people.
Right.
All they do is teach you dog stuff.
Yeah.
And it's limited, because let's say you go to a dog training school for 3 months. Within that 3 months, you might not even see a real challenging case.
Yeah.
Just depends.
I mean,
on
we
the
go
flow
through
of dogs.
3 months easily without seeing one of these rare cases.
Right.
Sometimes these is like maybe once a year you might
Right.
see something like this.
Right, exactly. So, yeah, you just got to take that into account. So, but good conversation. Anything else we're missing? Life of a dog trainer. It can be challenging. You're training people more than you're training dogs. Dogs are part of it, obviously. Dogs are fun to work with. You get that expertise, but they're only part of the life of a dog trainer. You're going to be talking to a lot of people, texting, emailing, calling. It's going to be happening, right?
There's paperwork. In the dog world.
Paperwork you got to do, right?
oh yeah.
Things you got to do, right? So it can get complex. If you're a dog owner looking for a dog trainer or talking to dog trainers, it gets very overwhelming about what's a good trainer, what's not a good trainer. Hopefully we gave you some more insight into that. But before we wrap it up, we do want to talk about some of our affiliates, our partners. First one, Canine Revolution Dog Training. That's us. So
Good to go.
yeah, obviously good to go. Obviously the best trainer.
If you've been listening.
Obviously Premier Dog Training.
Yeah.
So if you want to contact us, the phone number is 843-213-2676. The email is info@caninerevolutiondogtraining.com. And with that being said, we've got board and train. We've got private lesson. We've got virtual lesson. If you're a dog trainer, like I said earlier, if you're a dog trainer, you want help running your dog training business, that's a virtual lesson thing that I can do with you. So just reach out to us if you want to set that up. We've also got Canine Revolution apparel. So if you want to be supporting yourself, your dog, you want to be good to go, you go to Canine Revolution apparel on Amazon. You get you a good to go shirt. You get you a Canine Revolution shirt. You get you a Bobby Joe shirt.
Yeah.
Right? You get you a Guinea shirt. You get you a nice Pitties shirt, which it's coming up. October, it's coming up. By the time this episode airs, it'll be October.
So you order now.
This
So
month.
order now.
You're already late.
Right. We're already behind the ball here.
Go
if you
ahead,
don't
go
have
ahead
it
and get
yet.
one for next year too.
Go to Amazon, get you a Canine Revolution apparel, nice pitties. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
pitties.
yeah.
It's got 2
Yeah.
pitties on the
Okay,
front.
we're
of the
gonna
shirt.
write
Right where
it in.
where the
Ring it
pecs
in.
are.
Yeah.
So anyway, we got people calling in telling Aaron to rein us in.
Yeah.
'Cause
we're
they
talking
appreciate
about
it.
Guess what?
wieners.
We can't be reined in.
No. We're
Well, we're not
saying-
talking about wieners. We're talking about wiener dogs.
Right.
We know.
Right.
Right.
But anyway,
We know.
go to Canine Revolution Apparel. Get you some stuff. You'll be good to go. You'll be supporting yourself. Also, we've got We Feed Raw. Premium dog food for your dog. So dog's optimal diet delivered to your door.
So good.
Delivered to your door. Good for your dog. You will see improvement in your dog. Even if you do a 50% raw, 50% kibble diet, you will see change. I'm telling
Guaranteed.
you. I'm telling you, dude. I'm telling you.
Yeah.
Like my old
I'm
dog,
hearing you.
Sarabi, she's about to turn 15. She's got an enlarged heart. Got her on the raw. Heart shrinking, going back to normal size because of the raw. You know, Bane, he is like 9, right? Going on 10, I think, actually.
Dang.
But this dude, I found a gray hair on him. Found a gray hair. He's on 100% raw now.
The gray hair
went
disappeared?
away.
What?
Gray hair turned reverse, went black.
He's Benjamin Button.
Chad's in there coloring it with a Sharpie or plucking it out. He's like, oh, heck no.
Well, maybe I plucked it.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, but there's no more gray
But
hair.
it is still gone.
He's on the raw.
And he's on
dude.
the raw.
He's
So
on the raw.
2 and 2.
100%.
Cool.
2 and 2 equals 4.
100%.
There you go.
Exactly. And so anyway, go to WeFeedRaw.com. Use the discount code Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces, Canine Revolution. Spelt out, not the letter K number 9. Spelt out, Canine Revolution, all caps, no spaces, 25% off. You won't regret it. And if you do regret it, just cancel your meal plan. It's not
Easy.
a big deal, but you won't regret
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Easy day.
If you cancel your meal plan, you probably cancel other things.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Come on now.
Moving on, we got Canine Super Supplements, the letter K, the number 9, supersupplements.com. Discount code Canine Revolution for 15% off. We just watched a video yesterday of a pit bull doing the sled drag,
weight pull.
which is a dog sport where they have these dogs, they harness them up. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
Aaron? And they pull these crazy amounts of weight. If you got those dogs on the weight gainer, those dogs would be freaking bigger, jacked, more
Dude,
jacked.
I used to do that with Vader. I wish I had the supplements
Oh, yeah.
back then. He
yeah.
he was already jacked, but he'd be more jacked.
So you go to caninesupersupplements.com. They've got the weight gainer supplement. They've got the puppy formula supplement, which can also be taken by adults. Multivitamin supplement. They've got the joint support supplement. What's the issue?
Taken by adults?
Yeah, you
Like
can
adult
give the puppy.
dogs can
yeah.
get the
Oh, I see.
It's
I
not
see.
just-
I see. I
Adult
thought you
dogs
meant
can
like
also have the puppy
we're
formula.
over here dry scooping.
I mean,
you can
I
too.
would.
You can too.
It's got everything you
It
need.
comes in a bag. It's a powder. It's
Smells
basically
good.
raw food in a powder form. You put it in your dog's food. They love it. You love it. Your dog's good to go. Your dog's healthier,
little
better.
in your protein
all
shake.
good.
Easy.
No factors. So anyway, that's caninesupersupplements.com. Discount code Canine Revolution. All caps, no spaces. 15% off.
Yeah.
Last but not least, we got JockoFuel, which we've got the Go energy drinks we're drinking right here today.
Done. Mine's
We've
tapped.
got the Milk protein ready to drink. So if you're on the road, you're a trainer, you didn't have time to prep food, you grab you a Milk. Now you get your protein on the go, healthy, good to go, right? You've got the Milk powder protein if that's your preference. You got the creatine, you got the greens, you've got the white tea, which I messed up, dude. Quick story, I messed up.
Uh-oh.
You
Here
know
we
how
go.
the white
Quick.
tea comes in a big box, 100
Right.
bags,
Yeah.
right? So I just keep it on the shelf. I just stick my hand in it, grab a couple whenever I'm
You
You're
ain't
not
tracking.
not tracking, dude. So I reach in there. I'm like, what the hell? I'm reaching around. I'm reaching around in the box. I'm not feeling nothing. There was 2 bags left. I grabbed those because I always double bag. I always double tea bag.
Maybe you should have singled that
tea.
day.
Okay.
So I double tea bag, right?
Yeah.
So so I'm like, holy shit, it's the last 2. So I freaking make my tea, and immediately I'm ordering the next box, and I just get some more goes while I'm in the
Obviously.
JockoFuel.com.
Yeah. Well, you save on shipping when you do that.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. And they had the discount where you get the 2 cases for cheaper price of the goes.
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
see
yeah,
that?
yeah,
You know what I'm
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about?
Oh, I know what
You
you're
can
talking
get 3 or 4 cases for even cheaper. So I got the 4 cases, all no factor.
You know how they got me? They were like, hey, you're $10 away from
Right.
free shipping,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So then
Oh,
I
yeah.
order like $40
Right,
more, and
right,
then
exactly,
I might as well just pay
exactly.
the shipping. But they got me.
But they got the
Happy to be got.
they got everything you need. JockoFuel.com. Check it out. That's optimizing you. So go to JockoFuel.com. Discount code Canine Revolution. All caps, no spaces. 10% off your order. You won't regret it, and you'll be good to go.
Yeah.
So, all right, I think that brings us up to speed. Don't forget, check out Canine Revolution Dog Training on YouTube. Pack Talk Podcast on YouTube. Again, if you need anything, reach out to us. Thanks for your support. And until next time, this is Pack Talk Podcast. Out.